7 years old. It was not intended to be a place to hold slaves. That was not why it was built. It was built for two people to live in. And so what happened was in 1830, the gentleman bought the land. His name was John Anderson. And the reason we know that is because this was found in Germantown, Kentucky. Are you familiar with where that is? Germantown, Kentucky. I've never been there, but if you're from Kentucky, if you're close to there, I guess it's about an hour from here. And it was found there. And the only reason that it still existed was because the people that bought the land from John Anderson in 1834 had built a tobacco barn on top of it. Rather than they weren't using it as a slave pen anymore. They were not slave traders. But instead of tearing it down, they simply built another structure on top of it. And so that's why it was preserved from the weather and the snow and the rain and everything else. So that's the reason that it survived. When they decided to put the Freedom Center here, the gentleman who lived on the field called and said, "I think I have a slave jail on my land." And Mr. Westmoreland, who got the call, said, "That's been a long time ago. I seriously doubt it, but I'll come over and check it out." He was a descendant of slaves. That was the door he came in. He came through the door. They said that he fell to his knees and he cried. He felt the presence of the people that had been here. He was a descendant of slaves, and he knew from looking around that this was probably what it is. Now, remember, it looked a lot different back then when we found it than what it looks like now. Obviously, we had to make it safe for people to come in, and so, but 90% of what you see here is the original. So we were able to go to the courthouse in Germantown and find out what John Anderson did for a living. He made it easy for us to track him because he had his name when he bought the land and the house was on the land. He had his name burned into the wood. J.W. Anderson is what you see here. So he made it easy for us. John Anderson was a slave trader. We found out when we went to the records, the court records. We have letters and inventory lists and everything from him from back in 1834. So we were able to research it, find out that he did use it as a slave pen. His profession was listed as a slave trader, and the reason that this existed and the reason why hundreds of these existed in the Upper South, and I keep saying the Upper South as opposed to the Deep South, was because of the cotton industry. Before 1793, that big invention called the cotton gin came about. People did not grow cotton. It took too long to be taking the seeds out of all of those pieces of cotton. 1793, Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin, which was a machine that separated the seeds from the cotton and cleaned it and everything. That's when everybody wanted to grow cotton. We became the leading grower of cotton in the world. You could get 4 times richer growing cotton than all the other crops put together. So everybody wanted to grow cotton. The thing about cotton is you need a growing season, frost-free season from between 190 and 200 days. That's why we couldn't grow it up here. So what Mr. Anderson would do is he would go to slave auctions and he would buy people. That's what he did. That's what a slave trader did. He could buy a 20-year-old man for maybe $600. Now multiply that by about 30 times today. That was a lot of money. But he could take that same person down to Mississippi, sell him to the cotton industry, and double his money on every single person.